Hello, can you hear me now? I think you can hear me now. Sorry about that. I forgot that the microphone itself will mute, so please confirm that somebody can hear me in the chat. Okay, good. All right, anyway, 10 o'clock. Sorry about that. Hit the mute button on my mic. But Pete will be on at 11. So we're gonna actually do a little bit of a deeper dive on two of the Asian, Japanese actually imported free agents that just announced that they're getting posted. I think those are the more interesting guys. Two of the more interesting guys are both going to be in the top 10 in terms of free agents. Sorry about that. I see that you guys can hear me now. It's been a little of a mess to get started on a Monday here, but we're good. We're all good. All right, here we go. Heading over to the main screen. First thing I wanted to point out, yesterday there was a Arizona Fall League All-Star game. I don't know if you guys saw this. But yeah, they get together a little bit last night. There were some prospects, some very young guys. The Fall League has changed quite a bit, but it ended up in a walk-off. This was the final play of this game, so let's go take a look at how this game ended. Walk-off sac fly. Ooh, kind of a weird contact. Oh, playing at the Cubs spring training. Okay. And yeah, you're not making that play. So it's a walk-off for the American League Fall League All-Stars. And that is currently where we were at with the Fall League. They have played most of the year down there. Let's see where they're at right now. In terms of standing, Scottsdale 18-8, Surprise 16-8. And then all the other teams are under 500. So two dominating teams. I wonder what kind of players are on each of these teams here. I don't know. All right. Anyway, let's get over to what I meant to do, which was look at two different. I have a whole bunch of stuff queued up here, but two main guys I'm curious about. And this is the first one. That's not him. It's this guy right here, Munetaka Murakami. I'll pull up his baseball reference page for a second here, and then we're going to watch him. We're going to go over him a little bit. There's some concerns. A couple people have some concerns with his, well, how come I can't click on anything? With his strikeout rate, with his swing and miss rate. But anyway, here's the stats. This is the first thing we're going to pull up on Murakami. He is being posted. He is a third baseman, probably a first baseman. This is what he looks like, by the way. Played for Samurai Japan, hit a couple home runs in the WBC, hit one against USA. I believe it was off Merrill Kelly. Hit a walk-off double against Mexico in the second to last game when they played. I think it was the semifinal game of the last WBC. Hit a walk-off double in the Oppo Gap against Mexico. Anyway, this was the big year that got everybody excited. It was way back in 2022 when he went absolutely bananas with 56 home runs. I believe that set the Japanese record, passing Sadaharu Oh, had 134 RBIs. And also, the batting average was there that year, 318. So a 1,168 OPS going back to 22. But since then, you know, it's been good, but not as good. The next year, he dropped down to an 875 OPS on 23. Hit 31 dingers. 24, hit another 33 dingers, but he was at 851. And the big issue is strikeout rates, swing and miss, particularly versus fastballs. So this year he didn't play much. He was hurt for a bit, only gotten 69 games, hit 286, 392, 656 for back over 1,000 OPS. 24 home runs in only 69 games is quite impressive. But there's some concerns with Mr. Murakami. So let me pop over here and look into a couple of these things that we have. All right, I stole these off of Lance Brzodsky, his YouTube page. Here's Murakami's batted ball data. Average exit velocity 96.6, which is insane. That would be at the very, very top of MLB. He'll be in the top 4 or 5. Obviously, I don't expect that to continue, but this is where the batted ball data has been in Japan. 90th percent exit velo is about 3 miles an hour higher than the MLB average. So you're dealing with an immense amount of raw power. That's obvious. The max exit velo shows there 113.5. Actually, surprised it's not a bit higher. And hard hit launch at 18 degrees. So pretty good at getting the ball in the air. And then here's the contact issue stuff. Contact rate, 63%. MLB average, 75%. There are some guys that can get away with running a lower contact rate, but you can't have a very big chase rate. Fortunately, he is pretty decent with his batter's eye. Anyway, let's keep looking at this. Zone contact, 73%. MLB average, 83%. Swing and miss, 37%. MLB average, 25%. Breaking ball swing and miss, which everybody's been talking about his fastball swing and miss, but the breaking ball swing and miss is also there, 49%. MLB, 33%. So you're looking at a big-time situation with Murakami here with strikeout rates. So here's all the hitters last year that had a strikeout rate above 33%. This is the best of the bunch in MLB. Stanton's the only one with any type of positive numbers. He had a 944 OPS. The next best would be Tyler Stevenson. And then a bunch of these dudes are sitting down here in the 600s and in the 500s. So we're looking for like precedent for what type of comp we can make for Murakami. Like, who are the success stories running a huge swing and miss rate per season? The whiff rate has actually gone up since 2022, and that was the big time year. And I think it kind of shows the be all and end all right here. When he had a 21% strikeout, he was considered one of the best prospects in the world and probably the best hitter in Japan, along with probably at the time Yoshida. I think Suzuki had already come over, but also Okamoto, which we might talk about a little bit as well. But you see, as the whiff rate climbed, the strikeout rate climbed, and the numbers have declined a little bit. That's pretty tough to do. Here are his numbers relative to the league in Japan. Much more likely to hit a homer, but also much more likely to swing and miss. And it's important to note that the game in Japan is a little bit different. It's more of a contact approach. It's more of a... It's just more of a contact game. So this approach stands out big time. There's not as much swing and miss. I don't know. This is an interesting prospect, and I think the number one question when you're talking about Murakami is, do you think he's the type of player who can rapidly get better and get better in succession over time, can continue to make the adjustments? Clearly has MLB talent. There's no way around that. Big-time MLB talent. The ceiling is huge. I think it's a 40 home run plus ceiling. Big-time offensive performer. And I think it's important sometimes not to get lost in the weeds, when all the negatives about a player. I know that when we're in scouting mode, we tend to always look at the blemishes on any player. So it's like, in Murakami's case, it's like defense. He doesn't really have much of a position. He's a minus at third. He's probably going to end up at first or DH. So that's true. That's a minus. Obviously, what has happened so far with the swing and miss is a minus. And those are two things that are really glaring and are in everybody's mind. But the real question is, can he improve? Is there training that he can do to help him with velocity? Is there training that he can do to help him with his swing and miss in the zone? And can he maintain his walk rate? So in Japan, he was 100% in walk percentage because naturally, as you swing and miss more, as you hit more home runs, teams are going to be a little more afraid of you. Anyway, so let's jump right into Murakami from this year. This is just all the highlights from this year, and we'll get a sense of what he likes to hit. This is an insane home run, by the way. Just to get us started right away, just to show you the ceiling right off the bat. Let's just rewind to this first home run. This is a left-on-left, and he hits this ball like a pull-side fly ball. I know Yokohama is one of the smaller ballparks in Japan, but a no-doubter straightaway left is kind of insane. So on a very basic level, we're dealing with just a stupid level of pop to all fields. So it's one of those things. It's just one of those things where if they can figure out how to get him to cover velocity and cover up some of his holes and prepare him more for the pitching he might face, you might reap the benefits because he's got stupid pop. And we're going to keep watching as this video progresses, you see some just insane homers. Now, most of them are medium speed pitches in the middle, like this one, which he hits like damn near out of the stadium. Um, and some of them are fastballs, but they're mostly down in the zone. So, to my eye and to the data, the first thing you're going to see when he comes over to America is you're going to see a crazy amount of four-seam fastballs up in the zone to this dude. Just fastball up, fastball up, fastball up until he proves he can get to it. Also, to my eye, he's very handsy. And when you're very handsy as a player, see, there's another low fastball from left on left. This is another great swing. The handsy swings really help you play on medium height to low height. When you're trying to cover the top, you need to be more shoulder turn, keep the bat flat, keep the bat on plane. But when you're low, you can really use that wrist power and kind of get through and kind of scoop the ball through and kind of let your wrists carry you through. But when you get too wristy on a high pitch, what usually happens is you end up drooping a little bit and you can't cover the top of the zone. So anyway, I just wanted to check out some of these highlights. I mean, these are the home runs. This is what we're here for. This is what Murakami's going to bring to the table to an American team. The question is, how often will he get good pitches to see? You know, how often will he get pitches down in the zone? Will the U.S. pitchers and the major league pitchers in general, will they stay stubborn with him and stick to the top of the zone, like I expect, or will they make enough mistakes where even with his level of swing and miss, he can capitalize with the dingers? I mean, Joey Gallo is a guy I've seen him compared to a little bit, which is a little bit of a scary comp because Joey had the one All-Star year where he hit like 230, 240, and at that average, that was more than enough for his skill set to play. But once it dropped down to around 200 or under 200, then the positives didn't outweigh the negatives anymore. And considering that he's at a very good age, Murakami, to come over, he's going to get a good contract. Some team's going to buy into it, and they're going to buy into the ceiling. Let's see this pitch. It's just middle, dead center. I mean, these balls are clobbered. Absolutely clobbered. And this was after he missed a bit of the beginning of the season this year. Not the easiest thing to rewind here and fast forward. But he did come back ready to rock. This is another crazy home run. That's a left-on-left fastball, middle down, that he takes to the opposite field. So uses pole-to-pole pop. Defensively, he's a little bit of a butcher at third. Probably going to be a first base DH. So it's a big question of who's going to be the team to pay him, who has the needs. I've seen a lot of the big market teams in the mix in terms of who's been mentioned. Phillies, Red Sox, Yankees. I know Dodgers have been mentioned, but that's just, I think, because everybody sees that there's the Japanese connection. I'd be surprised with them picking up Muncie's option if they're going to be interested in keeping Murakami going for a while. Now, here's a question about Okamoto. Is Okamoto officially getting posted? Because if he is, that's interesting. I have a little comparison between the two here from Gaijin Baseball. This is career stats versus 93 miles an hour plus. So Okamoto is another guy who's played for Tokyo Giants, Yomiuri Giants for a while. He's considered the better all-around player. So considering that he is also supposed to get posted, this is a good comparison. Okamoto's a better defender. He's been more consistent a performer. He's a right-handed batter, but you see that he's handled velocity a lot better. Hitting almost 100 points higher, more than 100 points higher. On base is about the same because Murakami gets walked a lot. And then the OPS, way better versus 93. So this is why a lot of people think Okamoto could be a little better, have a little easier of a transition to MLB, given all the velocity. And then people are talking about in the Yankees. I don't see him as a Yankee personally, again, because they have a little bit of a logjam situation at DH. Big G's still there. Stanton. Judge is probably going to have to cycle through DH at some point over the course of his contract. So bringing Murakami in, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. You need, also with the Yankees, like, what's been their undoing the last few years is defense. So right now they have Ryan McMahon in there for another year. I believe, unless he's a free agent. No, I think he's got one more year. So they're happy with their defense over there at third, and I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to try to mess with their defense too much. All right, let's watch some Okamoto highlights since now we're talking about our other hitter here. And here's from 2024, Mr. Okamoto. Oh, we even have a little defensive highlight to start the day, playing first base. Also rocking that C on the chest, which you gotta love. All right, here we go. Okamoto at the plate. He's got a little bit of a leg hang, very typical Japanese swing, big pop to all fields, but a very consistent hitter. Some of the guys that I've played with that played in Japan over the last 4 or 5 years, they were really high on Okamoto. They felt like he was the better all-around player. They felt like Murakami was very pitchable, but the question is all about adjustments. You know, when you come over, can you make them or not? Okamoto's shown an ability to make him throughout his career. Murakami has kind of forced a lot of Japanese pitchers into walking him and then capitalizing on mistakes. So, I don't know. It's interesting. Curious what everybody thinks. As we'll continue to watch Okamoto do some damage here for a minute, and then we'll go look at Imai. How do you see any fly balls in that with that roof? Tokyo Dome. Yeah, we're gonna do Imai next. Imai's my favorite, one of my favorite pitchers in this class. I love the edgy pitches with. Oh, look at this umpire cam shot. Also, the ball just disappears into that white ceiling. I just don't understand it. Okamoto working with some cankles, some calves, big lower half. Stays grounded in those legs pretty good, looks like. Oh, just destroyed to left. I don't know if he's a plus defender, but I've seen some grades on him that had him about an average defender, whereas it has Murakami as a well below average defender, and that's not going to really, that doesn't usually get any better as you age. Okamoto to the Mets, people are saying. Robert Neymar. Got plenty of time, only the clouds. Plenty of time, buddy. No Pete Alonso till 11 o'clock, but we're watching some Japanese highlights. Below average third in MPB. Thanks for the information. Is he more of a first baseman? This is a good question about, this is a good comment on Murakami. Like, will the walks still be there with when MLB pitchers are just force him up, force him up, force him up? Like, will there be as much fear when they know they have the pitch? That's the antidote. Wow, he hit a ball literally on a catwalk. Yankees ensure 2003 pennant by signing every player at baseball. That's how it felt back in the day, right? Dude, Okamoto hit this ball so high that it literally goes into this crow's nest catwalk up there. Didn't Shohei hit a ball through the roof at this ballpark? Like, where did this ball even go? Does it go to the third deck? I'm waiting to see him go the other way with something. Ooh, don't hang it. He smashed that right there. Ooh, this is going to be off of this dude, Jackson, right here. Man, he's just clobbering everything to left. Oh, he hit it into the visiting team's fan section that did not look happy. All I'm seeing is just pull side nukes. But he looks like he has the base to probably be a decent opposite field hitter as well. All right, we're going to look a little bit more. I'm still waiting for something opposite field, see if we get it or not. No, he's just demolishing everything pull side, like out of sight. I don't know. It's an interesting showdown. He's shown better numbers on velocity through his career. He's below average, I guess, on defense, but I think a little better than Murakami. Older though as well, correct? Okamoto. All right, let's go see. So Murakami is 25, going to be 26 next year. See how old Okamoto is. Okamoto much older, 29. He'll be 30 next year. So that's the difference. You're signing this player probably to a shorter shorter contract, which makes it almost a little bit safer. Plus his profile's a little bit safer. So I think Okamoto, assuming he does get posted, is going to have a lot more overall interest, but obviously not as high end in terms of years. I think for Murakami, somebody's going to have to stretch to an uncomfortable place, to sign Murakami, and it's definitely going to be uncomfortable with the way he swings and misses. So it's going to be interesting to see. We got some information. It looks like from a Japanese person here. He used to be, but recently he pulls everything. Talking about Okamoto with his pull pop, used to use a little bit more oppo. I mean, a lot of people do. It's something I'm going to ask Pete about earlier. Is grooving your swing for pull versus oppo. I think it depends on your level of pop. Obviously, pull side fly balls equate to more home runs. But if you can you can use the whole field and hit home runs opposite field. I think it makes you a better all-around hitter, which is something that I saw Alonso do this year. But anyway, it's an interesting strategy how some people go more for the other way. You won't find an Okamoto oppo. Okamoto Murakami will both play first base, I think. Okamoto will be a lot better in terms of defense. So, yeah, I think like if you're a team in a winning window and you're looking for like, a really mature hitter who has big time upside, but isn't necessarily as much of a project, I think Okamoto's your guy. If you're a guy who can afford Murakami as a luxury item, or you're going to bet big on his upside, then maybe Murakami's a little more for you. But it's an interesting showdown with these two guys coming out. Yeah, Okamoto go to Boston with that swing. If you're going to be pull side pop in MLB, you want to be Houston, Boston. Honestly, as a righty, trying to think where else. I don't know. Toronto's pretty good hitting. I don't know. Be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. And Michael Boyer saying Japanese players prefer the West Coast. It hasn't always been that way. But I could see that. I get it. It's a shorter flight. I think there's more of a Japanese culture in a lot of the California cities. LA, San Francisco, certainly Seattle. But we'll see. Here's some information. Okamoto played more than 20 games at left field, but Murakami only played one game at right field and West Coast due to broadcast time, so more family members and friends can see as well. Oh, sorry about that. I'm gonna have to make another coffee soon. And yeah, everybody's talking about the Murakami velocity problem. Yes, we've seen the velocity problem. I pulled up this board earlier as the comparison on 93 plus. There's a clear winner here in terms of contact. Obviously, Murakami, people were scared of him, and that pushed him out of the zone. And to Mitch's point here earlier, in MLB, his walk rate probably won't be as high if they feel like there's a place to go in the zone, which is high fastballs. So I totally agree. That's why Murakami has risk. You just got to get to know him and his work habits and his training habits. Most Japanese players are incredibly dedicated to figuring it out, and they usually do figure it out if they have this level of talent. but I'd have to know more. I'd have to watch him a little bit behind the scenes to have a better opinion on that. All right. All right, so the next pitcher I'm going to look at, the next player I'm going to look at, and this is one of my favorite guys, and we're going to study him for a little bit, is Tatsuya Imai from the Seibu Lions. He was the best pitcher in Japan this year. We're going to watch him pitch a little bit in a minute, but I mean, this season was truly something special from Imai. 1.92 ERA, 163 and 2/3, only 101 hits. 45 walks, 178 strikeouts, .892 whip. So even in Japan, he's a strikeout pitcher, but nothing crazy. 9.8 strikeouts per nine. But that's also partly because of the way the league is. It's hard to strike out more guys with a contact approach. But the big key is if you look at these walk numbers throughout his career, this was a career best in walk rate. 2.5 walks per nine this year in Japan, and only 5.6 hits per nine. So let's go jump into some of the stuff I have here on Imai. Let me look a little bit here where it all is, but I have some stuff on Imai here. Here's how Imai's rankings were this year in an NPB context. Literally 100th percentile in chase and swinging strike and fastball velocity. So he's the hardest thrower in the league. Sits 95, 99. Ground ball rate, way above average. Every single stat incredible except for walks, but this was a career best in walks. So that's number one. And then here is his pitch breakdown. This came from Yaku Cosmopolitan. If you don't follow this guy, if you're interested in Japanese baseball and you don't live in Japan, one of the best YouTube pages out there. So I watch all his videos, and now I'm piggybacking off of some of his data that he's shown us. So this is Imai versus lefties and versus righties. You could see it's a pretty heavy fastball slider usage versus righties. And versus lefties, he mixes in more of a changeup, which is a split. And he tends to pitch lefties away with elevating some fastball. He's got a little bit of a low slot. And then versus righties, he tends to live away as well, with then running the split down and in. So everybody's got the split, but his real interesting pitch is the slider, which we're about to get into in a minute. All right, here's Imai's data from the Lance video. Here's the four-seam shape, and this is why there's been some concern initially, is he has some funky shapes on his pitches. But if we're going to watch his video, and I think you'll be impressed as I am. So velo, no problem there. Average is about 95. That's above Major League average. Definitely above average for a starter. Vertical break, 13.5. So MLB's average is 15.8, but I'm pretty sure the release height is a little bit low, and that shows up in the vertical approach angle number at the bottom. Negative 4.2 is much flatter than the MLB average of negative 4.7 degrees. So that's why his fastball plays up in the zone despite only having 13.5 inches of horizontal break. He does get much more run on his ball, but you'll see it's because the way he throws, his arm slot's a little bit like kind of in here, and so the hand's tilted this way. So when it comes through, there's not that true backspin. He backspins it, and it kind of shoots off to the right. So, I don't know. It's an interesting shape, but where it gets really interesting, well, once we get to the slider, hold on. Let me look at the success, though. Although the four-seam is an interesting shape, it's absolutely shoved in Japan. 69% strike rate, 53% zone rate, which is fine. 20% swing and miss, 12% zone swing and miss. So those are below average for MLB, but he uses it like too much. Like in MLB, his overall usage will drop on four seam, and some of these success rates will go up. But here's what I was talking about: the slider shape. He has a little bit of a weird slider shape, a la Trey Savage, with the backup slider shape, the reverso slider, as I would call it. 86.3, so it's right there on average in terms of a bullet slider, and right on average in terms of the vertical break. But the ball actually backs up a little bit, 2.4 inches, whereas the average MLB pitch goes left. For a righty would go left 5.5 inches. His goes right 2.4 inches. It's just a very weird pitch overall. So we'll watch it on the video. It's kind of hard to see, but I think what's happening here is I think it tunnels extremely well with the fastball, and because of the backup action, it plays better versus lefties than maybe it would otherwise. So I don't know. We'll watch the video in a minute, because the results, despite the funky the funky shape have been incredible. Look at the swing and misses versus MLB average. Look at the chase rate. Look at the miss in the zone. Everything is popping up very well. Very coming up roses for Imai in terms of the results of the slider. So despite the weird shape, the results are very good, and we're going to watch all that in a minute. We're going to watch one of his best starts in MPB in a second. All right, here's his splitter. So the splitter shape, not as droppy as the MLB average, but a lot more runny. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays as well. In a perfect world, he'd rather have more drop. But I think this pitch will be tweaked stateside now that we have more, technology. They'll probably tweak this pitch. You can see the spin rate's probably the biggest issue. He's at 1979 average spin rate in NPB, whereas the MLB average on a splitter is way down in 1300. So if he can drop his spin rate, he'll probably have less vertical break and he won't have to change his shape as much. So it could be like maybe getting a little wider with the fingers or something like that. Here are the splitter results. They're slightly above average in terms of swing and miss, slightly below average in terms of chase for MLB. But he gets it in the zone, meaning he has multiple pitches he can throw for strikes. So he has all 3 of his pitches he can throw for strikes, which is a big deal. Yeah, this is the screwball-like pitch, which is the way his slider moves. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose or not, but I don't know. It's interesting. That's his splitter results. All right, let's go watch him a little bit. I think I have him right here. I have a couple videos on Imai. So first we'll watch an actual game from Imai, and you can see a couple things real quick. Number one, he's so dominant in this start, he looks bored, right? Like these hitters can't fuck with him at all. Now, this pitch kind of illustrates a little bit of his fastball shape being a little bit of a problem at times. You'll see the angle. It's a little bit lower, and he tries to upshoot this fastball, but it doesn't have crazy life to get over the barrel, so he almost gets clipped here. If that's a major league batter, that might be a homer. But I think he's going to pitch mostly east-west and then down for chase with his off-speed pitches, and then he'll upshoot upward with his four-seam when he needs to. But check out how much easy swing and miss he gets on his slider. Also, shout out to, I believe that's Luke Voigt or somebody like that over at first base. Could be Nevin. Tyler Nevin? One of these dudes. There's a fastball that's straight by Franmil Reyes. Another interesting thing when I watched a lot of Imai was he tends to work at like 94, 93, 94, and then when he needs to crank it up, he'll go 98, 99. So an ability to plus and minus his fastball is really good. Here's the split. Pretty good chase pitch there. There's the fastball again. So he basically just waits for his right moment to juice up the velo, which is a good quality to have. Shows an ability to tap into more when you need it. And you can see the way he throws. It's very interesting. Wish I had this on the Dugout app. But it's a little bit of a mini crossfire, a very efficient. Yeah, it was Nevin. Very efficient arm stroke, like a very short arm stroke, which allows him, I think, to showcase some serious pitchability, and just it's a really easy delivery to repeat. Here's another slider. Here's that backup downward breaking slider. See you later. Really good at tunneling it off the heater. Also pitches with a heck of an edge as well. This would be the guy that I'd be targeting because he's been about a 9-year pro, but he's not old. He's got all the pitches. He pitches with an edge. He's got command just started to get better. I don't know. I'm really a big fan of Imai. Plus, it's a ground ball profile. I don't see him giving up a ton of home runs when he comes over. I think he'll be mostly a ground ball and strikeout pitcher. And it wouldn't surprise me if he took to the U.S. game pretty quickly. Of the Japanese pitchers I've watched for a while, he's one of the more interesting guys. I don't really have a great side look yet, Alex, but I have another video that we can check out where he's kind of training, and you get a better idea of kind of his style when he's training. All right, so that was it for that. And then where's this one? Yeah, this video right here. All right, we're just gonna load that up real quick. Yeah, so I think Framber is our #1 pitcher on the market, but people are saying that there's a world in which he could, Imai could beat him. I would go after Imai, I think, over Cease, personally, just for the entire package, you know? I think he's younger. I think he has more pitchability. I think he knows how to deal with contact a little different. I think Cease is a disgusting, pitcher in terms of swing and miss. The slider, is special. But for me, I think Imai would be my guy. I'd be targeting a little bit more. We got to fast forward a little bit. Here we go. Here's where he's training. He's throwing suboptimally on the mound. But you can see the arm stroke is super small, super repeatable. So I think he's already locked in terms of delivery. It's one of the better deliveries I've seen in a long time. You can tell this kid played infield growing up. It's a short stride, so I don't think his extension will be crazy, but I think that allows him to rotate really efficiently and will allow him to hold his velocity for years to come. And then I think it's just a matter of him figuring out how to continue to add more to his mix. And I'm sure he's going to be working with the other Japanese guys in the offseason like Darvish, Yamamoto, etc., as we have a WBC coming up. So he's going to be around all these guys that have already had success in MLB. But I love the athleticism of this dude. I love how easy the ball comes out. I love the edge he pitches with. I love his weird shaped slider, because one thing I always talk about on this program is if you can be weird, be weird. Weird is good. So I wonder what you guys think about that. But the new no QO and 27 years old allows him to potentially get the biggest pitching contract this year. I wonder how much the behavioral stuff from this year will hurt Framber's market. Ultimately, he's one of the best pitchers in the world, so not that much. But I think a little bit. There'll be a little bit of it'll probably hurt him a tiny bit with certain teams, but really it comes down to price. I think everybody will want Framber. He's been unbelievable in the postseason. But I think Imai is right there, and then I think Cease is probably behind him, personally. Anyway, I just want to take a quick peek at Imai. He's a very fascinating dude to watch. You can see how short that arm stroke is, how efficient it is. He throws easy. He throws hard easily, if that makes sense, which is a really good place to be as a 27-year-old pitcher coming over to MLB for the first time. You don't feel like you have to generate anything. You don't have to do anything extra. Your physical ability is already more than enough at MLB. Now it's just a matter of figuring out, your mixes and your strategies and dealing with kind of what the MLB game is all about, which is going pitch to pitch. I've watched Kodai Senga go through this transition, and once he figured it out, second half of his rookie year, he just destroyed everybody. He had really good stuff. But I see Imai as somebody who, just from watching him a little bit train, doesn't seem as lost in the weeds mechanically as Kodai. I feel like he just has a very simple delivery that he's never really going to have to mess with. And it's going to be a little easier to stay consistent and not get in his own head. These are all just speculations, though, by Ottavino, so we'll see. This is what I meant about Kodai. I think Kodai's the nastiest pitcher on the Mets, him and McLean now, but the issue is when he feels off mechanically, he can't pitch well. He gets too distracted. He's too internally focused and not enough externally focused. If you can get Kodai and his delivery figured out, he's freaking electric. So that's my stance on that. There's also 2 other pitchers that were mentioned as potentially being posted, but I haven't seen any final markers on that. And that is Mr. Kona Takahashi. This is his usage coming over from Yaku Cosmopolitan as well. 42% four-seam. I don't know what VS is. That's a type of slider. 19% slider, and then splitter, 25%. That's first lefties. Righties, about the same. Kind of about the same mix, but more slider. And there's also a cutter in here. Takahashi doesn't throw as hard, though. 93 miles an hour. Vulcan slider? I don't think so. I don't know what that means. Maybe somebody can translate that. I don't know what that means. Another guy that was potentially being thought to be coming over was Hiroto Saiki, but I haven't heard if he's coming over. He is more of a Jonah Tong type of release, super high type of release, but let's go ahead and try to find a video on Kona Takahashi for a second because I'm curious about him. Kona Takahashi. All right, let's watch a little Kona Takahashi and see. His team said okay, so he's going to be posted soon. Okay, great. Oh, there's a curveball. Love that. So the Lions are posting two guys, huh? They're posting Imai and Takahashi. Ooh, Luke Voigt swinging at that. Yeah, Saiki is not going to get posted. Team rejected it. All right, so we won't worry about Saiki. That sucks for him a little bit if he wanted to come over here. But sometimes that's part of it. So obviously, being a 93-mile-an-hour righty, he's going to be a pitchability guy in the major leagues. Takahashi Mitsunari doesn't have a signature pitch, and his strikeout rate is low, but his curveball is a drop type, so I think he'll be swung at it a lot and be successful in MLB. His lack of strikeout rate concerns me because in MLB, if you just can't get to a certain threshold, then you have to be unbelievable at controlling contact to survive. I think these Japanese pitchers are inherently better at controlling contact than the American pitchers because they come up in a world that's a contact-oriented world. But he's going to have to figure out how to get some more swing and miss. This is a pretty nasty split right here. Oh, Luke Voigt, line drive to right. I think Voigt played pretty well for Rakuten when he got over there. Vulcan split? Maybe. That's a cutter up and in on that fly out. Fastball away, rolled over to short. Everything online just says he throws a slurve, slider, and split. Oh, so maybe one's a slurve, one's a slider, and one's a split. Here's Voigt again. Looks like that's the slurve right there. Oh, there's a split right on right. All right, let's go look at his numbers. Let's pull him up. Let's pull him up. All right. So he's had less than 3 walks per 9 since 2022. Walks haven't been so bad. Strikeout rate, though, it's actually scary. Only 5.4 strikeouts this year. That's going to be tough. We saw, who's a pitcher this year for the Orioles? Oh, my God. I should be better at that. Sugano, Tomoyuki Sugano. Sugano was a stud over there in Japan, runs a little bit of a lower strikeout rate. Yeah, Sugano. Sorry about that. That's what I was thinking of. But we saw how this year he came over to MLB and struggled a little bit because he doesn't get any strikeouts. Like, you have to literally like find a way to get your way through the lineup with getting all contact outs. It's just so hard to do in MLB where everybody can clip you. There's so much more power in the game. And the way to combat the power in the game is to not get them to hit at all. You got to strike them out. So that's a little bit of a concern. I mean, I'd have to watch a lot more of him to really decide where I think his value is. But he's way behind Imai in terms of major league readiness from what I've seen. Imai's straight up nasty, and then basically just has to learn his strategies and how to continue to add to his arsenal. Whereas Takahashi's going to have to figure out how to get some more strikeouts, which I think he would get automatically in MLB, but 5.4 is a low spot to start from. Even 6 is low to start from. You'd like to be at least at 1 strikeout per inning. So it's going to be interesting to watch that. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, this is Kona Takahashi. All right, let me go back to the solo shot for a second, and we'll take a few questions, and I'll take a break because Pete's coming on in about 13, 14 minutes, and then we'll get into his conversation. Hope you guys had a good time watching some of these dudes. Okamoto, Murakami, Imai, Takahashi. Those are all guys that are getting posted. There's also an interesting guy that I want to check out on in a second is Cody Ponce, who used to be in MLB, then went to KBO, had a ridiculously good season in KBO. He's sniffing around MLB right now. See if I can find a KBO video of Cody Ponce in a second. But anyway, let's answer this question. Bigger picture, I wonder if KBO or NPB are going to become a more popular path to the majors. Watching all these guys come over at 25, 27 years old as unrestricted free agents. 100%. Now, it's a little tough to get out of this, out of the system of the US, the US system. Like, you get drafted, you're pretty likely to sign, and then you go through the whole 7 years of minor league control, and then, hopefully getting on the 40-man roster, and then 6 years of major league control. Like, it's a whole system that's tough to get out of, and most people will go through it traditionally. But we've seen guys, go to the Far East and come back super valuable. Brooks Raley, Josh Lindblom was a guy, Eric Thames, Merrill Kelly. Those are all examples of people who went over there and came back. And when you come back, you're kind of unshackled from the U.S. situation. You basically come back, you sign a free agent contract, and you go from there. And you don't have to deal with the whole 6-year thing. I think it's a very viable path. A lot of people will be too afraid to do it. But I think if you go down this path and you can make it work and you can get back over to the U.S. at the prime age, 27, 28, 29, Eric Fetty's another one. You can really boost your value and get yourself in a much better, system in terms of how to get paid. You don't have to wait as long. You don't have to go through the ARB system and all that. So I think it's possible that it matters. All right, let's go try to find some Cody Ponce real quick highlights from this year. And then after that, we'll take a break because this is another guy who's going to be coming back over. This is the 18 strikeout game. So after we get through this this advertisement, which now I think I have to pay for YouTube Premium. I am a YouTuber at this point, so why not pay for premium? You know what I'm saying? But damn, what is this ad? Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, here he is, Cody Ponce. Velo went up big time this year. That was the information that I had seen off of some of the KBO data. So he's literally up 3 or 4 miles an hour from when we last saw him at MLB. Man, breaking ball looks filthy. It does make me wonder how different the ball is in Korea. I know it's a little smaller, a little tackier, but the sharpness on that breaking pitch was insane. Are the ads crazy on the MLB side or on my side? I have mine as low. So sorry about that. This is actually a good question. I'll address this in a second while we watch Ponce throw fuzz in Korea. I think that people used to feel this way. I remember there being a lot of complaints when the Cuban guys were getting big bags, when they were coming over. People were like, how come they get to go in right out of our system and get $40-50 million paydays? But a big part of the answer was it's not like they're going to give you the money. You know what I mean? They're not going to take that money away from the Cuban player and give it to the American player. So at the end of the day, it should be more so we're looking to get everybody in that system from the player side. You're looking to get everybody in that system where you get to pick your own adventure rather than kind of get caught into the 6 years of this, 7 years of that, and then you're kind of stuck in one place. So basically just because people were butthurt about it didn't mean it needed to change. Nothing changed. Is Cody crying on the mound in this game because he broke a record? Ooh, look at Hyunjin Ryu. So, yeah, people might be a little bitter, but at the same time, like you see how Yamamoto's been embraced by his Dodger teammates, getting the highest paid, being the highest paid pitcher of all time. They don't hold that against him. Nobody's butthurt about that. They're trying to win ball games, and they're excited for anybody who achieves their dream. They keep showing Hyunjin Ryu over there, which is cool to see. Former MLB Blue Jay and Dodger, of course. A large part of the fix for that was to institute the 25-year-old requirement to be an international pro. This is the rule that screwed Ohtani when he came over at 23. Yeah, so there was some rules that were put in place, but ultimately, I just think it's foolish to be worrying about somebody else's paychecks. You know what I mean? Just, focus on what you're doing, and if you don't like it, play better. That's the old rules in baseball. I don't know what's going on with this highlight, why there was such a delay on Cody Ponce continuing to pitch, but I wanted to watch him strike some more dudes out. That was the 18th strikeout. Hold on, let me go back. I missed that. Ryu's sunglasses are sick. Well, that's a little backdoor cutter. 18 Ks in a game is wild. Ryu's loving it. Ryu in his prime was sick. Throwing slow curveballs, cutters, sinkers, changeups. So that's likely the KBO single season strikeout record. Yeah. So this guy had a sick year. Cody Ponce, former major leaguer. Let's find him, because it did not go well when he was first over here in 2020, 2021. Played for Pirates. Only got 20 games, 5 starts. First year wasn't so bad. Second year, 2021. I mean, it's not a lot of sample size, but he got hit pretty hard. But he was coming in 93 miles an hour at that time, and now he's up like 95, 96. That's a big difference. Anyway, just wanted to give a quick refresher on that. Let's do one last thing. We'll go check my standings in my lead-om, and then I'm going to take a break, and we'll get ready for the Pete situation. Currently in the Dominican League, Águilas 11-3, Toros, that's my team, 8-7, Licey 7-8, Escogido 6-8, Estrellas 7-10, Gigantes 5-8. As they're just getting ready, they play about a 50-60 game series, and then they go into this round robin, and then eventually into the Caribbean Series, where it's crazy. Like, all the best players kind of aggregate onto one team, and they continue forward. But anyway, I wanted to show that real quick. The lead-om's actually on the MLB.TV app. You can get all the games, which is pretty cool. Tokyo Giants' Foster Griffin also seems to want to return to MLB. So this was an example of a guy who was drafted, I believe, in America. Something went wrong, right? And then he went back. Who am I thinking of? There was somebody who was a Braves draft pick, ended up going over to Japan right away after that because there was injury concern, and then the hope was that he could become a really young free agent. But I don't know. We've seen more and more guys come over every year. Martinez was another one from the what's his name? He's on the Reds now. Was on the Padres. So all good. All right, we're gonna take a break here, about a 5-minute break, and then I'll come back with Pete in a minute. He just texted me. Maybe I'll wait a second. You know what? I'm going to go to break now. About a 5-minute break. I'll be back with Pete Alonso after that. And we'll get into talk. Thanks for joining me so far today. And I will go make a coffee and go try to get him onboarded. And then we will get into our convo with Pete. All right. See you guys. I'll be back. All right, guys, I'm having a major technical difficulty. I'm really sorry, but my virtual camera, which would be used for Pete, is saying I have to restart my computer. So this is a little bit of a disaster. So I'm thinking of restarting my computer. They might end the stream and then I'll restart the stream. So if that happens, just bear with me. All right. All right.